right, welcome to the Shardbreaker podcast. This is episode 10 of Mistborn, the Hero of Ages. I am Midnight, the host of this podcast, and I'm here with Mythic.
Hola.
And Darkness.
Hello.
Darkness is a little sick. So for this week, we've
A
read
little.
just a little. We read chapters 66 through 75 this week. Lots and lots of chapters, also short chapters. And yeah, this is the second to last episode of the book. Going straight into chapter 66, Epigraph. Inquisitors had little chance of resisting Ruin. They had more spikes than any of his other hemalurgic creations, and that put them completely under his domination. Yes, it would have taken a man of a supreme will to resist Ruin even slightly while bearing the spikes of an Inquisitor. So my question for that was, what does that make you think about Marsh, considering how he was able to have control over his mind, even with the fact that he had the most spikes of any Inquisitor?
Sounds a lot like Kelsier's brother.
He's kind of hot.
Oh god, here we go.
I think I can fix him.
Can you fix him?
Yeah, it'll be fine. No, but low-key, I mean, I figured that he would do something in general. So like, every time we got Marsh POV, it was like, will he resist or will he not? And it kind of led up to that.
Yeah.
So, like, we figured.
Alright, so we start this chapter with Sei's point of view, as he rides on Tensoon, who is in the body of a horse, with the enhanced bulk of a hog, apparently. He thinks that he is a fool for not having used the last few days to interrogate Tensoon. However, he'll hopefully get a chance to interrogate the first generation to learn more about the religion that he has the highest hopes that hold the truth. Sei's asks Tensoon how he can run like this, and Tensoon replies that the Kandra are made from mist race, some of which are the original ferochemists, and some of which were bred of them. And that when they are blessed to become Kandra, they are given hemalurgic spikes. He also mentions that they have less spikes than the Inquisitors and Kolos, and thus are harder to control. Tensoon also explains how his blessings give him basically infinite stamina, just not as much of a boost as ferochemy or allomancy would. So what do you think about the fact that the number of spikes makes someone easier or harder to control?
Well, it makes sense. We kind of talked about it in the
Mhm.
past.
Kinda.
Also, the fact that he did that with the horse thing, in my mind, I was like, this is the closest I'm gonna get to an allomantic horse that I've been talking about.
Yeah, it's it's kind of the Atlantic horse that you've always wanted.
Yeah. But also gives in like the picture of like, it'd be cool to see one, unicorn style. But yeah, I thought it was cool that like when he did that, because Mythic was like, what if he could like adjust it, between two different things that one time. I'm like, oh yeah, this like totally confirms it.
Yeah. Tensoon doing cool shit. Did you think, Mythic?
I liked it. I like the Tensoon is actually thinking outside the box.
That also made me think like, this probably might be a question. It would be a good question if you do ask it. But
she won't though. You're gonna ask better questions.
it would be so cool. This made me think like when they reach the Kanja place, if like when they actually speak to the other people, it would be so cool if they all like decided to like just devour corpses and shit to like meld themselves into like an army of like various different creatures with modifications. Like, can you imagine like just an army of like, mixed creatures that could be lethal as fuck?
No, could you explain a little harder on what do you mean by mixed creatures?
Like mixing creatures, like he did with the hog and the horse.
Oh.
Like they could literally mix like a fucking tiger and an elephant.
Yeah, what kind of creatures? What kind of creatures would you want him to meld together?
I wonder what would happen if they eat a Kolos.
Don't know.
I feel like it'd just be humans. If they're human bones, I'm sure.
But like, do they have big bones? Is there a way to get an anatomy of these creatures? Like,
oh my god.
Because I would love that.
No, I can't find anything.
Wow. You're telling me nobody's ever like just been like, wow, let me just try and figure this out.
Apparently not. At least not in images that I can find. Yeah, so Sei's notes how little time it seems they have left. Tensoon states that they need to be ready to help the Hero of Ages, and that she will bring an army of Allomancers to the homeland, and she will save the humans, Kandra, Kolos, and Inquisitors. He also says that Sei's job is to convince the Kandra how dire the situation is, and that they need to move forward with something that they will be resistant to. So what do you think about this part of the prophecy where apparently Vin's going to bring an army of Allomancers to the homeland and save everyone, including all the hemalurgic creations?
I knew instantly.
No, that ain't happening. We knew that ain't happening.
I knew instantly what army they were talking about, though.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, you guys have been speculating that for a couple episodes.
Yeah.
as soon as the number
It
16
doesn't
hit,
make sense.
according to the Mist stuff, I was
Hmm.
like, elementic metals.
Yeah.
Yes, you said you didn't think this was gonna happen, Mythic. What were you thinking, Darkness, about this part of the prophecy with the hero bringing all these Allomancers to save everyone? Besides
So
the fact that you knew what it was.
it's the only thing I didn't know is, and I still kind of don't, because it doesn't really happen
Hmm.
or hasn't happened yet. Like when it would happen, like at what point of the battle, like if it was gonna happen during like Ellen's thing,
Mm.
or if it was gonna happen like at the end of the battle with like Ruin and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I figured it was gonna be her like figuring out like, oh, I thought it was gonna be her, not
Mm-hmm.
Ellen, figuring out that, oh, they're elementers now. Like we gotta like gather this army and go defeat Ruin or whatever.
Yeah.
But now I just have a whole thing of like, she's gonna show up. You know what? You know what? This is save that.
Okay, we'll get into that. So they then arrive outside the entrance to the homeland, which is apparently part of the cave system that the pits of Hassan are located within. Apparently, some of the caves run directly into the pits, and thus the conjurer had to block off those tunnels so that people didn't wander in by accident. Tensoon then leaves his wolfhound bones and a set of human bones behind as he heads off for his own quest. As he leaves, Sei says, "Good luck, and may their god preserve him." So were you surprised that the conjure homeland was part of the pits of Hassan?
Yes.
Honestly, yeah, I had no idea.
You guys didn't expect the homeland to be there, huh?
No.
So Seizen digs his way into the
Wait,
entrance.
how close is the pits of heaven to Luthada?
I think it's like a day's travel or something. Like it's like or maybe less. It's like a little bit outside of Luthadel, I believe.
And Loki, in my head, I was laughing my ass off because we get that of like intensity of like two different people trying to go find Vin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is Tensoon and the dude on the horse,
Gordel,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, and they're all trying to go over there to where like I guess Ellen is, right?
Yeah.
To try and find Vin. And she's over here at Luthadel, fucking shit up. I would have gave up by then.
She's
If
basically
I
heading
arrived,
towards them.
yeah, if I arrive, imagine they arrive there and then Ellen's like, nah, she went that way.
Now you passed her. Sorry, you must have just missed her.
Hey, you passed her on your way in.
Yep. So Seizen digs his way into the entrance of the Conjure homeland until he ends up sliding down into a tunnel. He stands up and puts on a tin mine to try and see farther, although unlike with Allomancy, it doesn't let him see in the dark better. He moves forward until he sees a light in the distance and hears a voice call out for him to stop. As Seiz gets closer to the voice, he sees two Conjure wearing true bodies. He gets excited to learn about the Conjure culture, but reminds himself that he has a reason for being here and needs to focus. The Conjure asks him who he is, and Sage replies that he is not a Conjure, but Seized, keeper of Terrace, and that he has been sent to speak with the first generation. The Conjure are startled, and Sage says that if they don't let him through, he will go out and tell everyone where the Conjure homeland is. One of the guards eventually tells him to follow them.
What a fucking bluff.
I'm gonna just go, tell everyone who's dying.
No,
Yeah,
at
they
that
give a
point,
shit, honestly.
I had a thought of like,
Mhm.
if they can't do anything to hurt him, could he like just go around stabbing them and
Yes,
hurting them?
probably.
In my head, I was like, what if he just starts committing like mass genocide? I don't know. I feel like some of them would have broken.
I mean, I kind of feel the same way after what we know later, but I feel like they would have just been like, oh, that's a stupid rule, and then just attacked him. But
Yeah, at that, like before knowing what we know, I
yeah,
thought like I feel like he would be able to like start like just like attacking some of them, and I
Mhm.
feel like the newer generations would be like, "Fuck no, bro." Crazy, cause like, what if it was like one of the people from the pits, right, that actually walked in there and was like, "What are they gonna do? Like, what are they gonna do?"
I don't know what they would do. That's a good question if someone from the pits showed up. It's like, do you just hold them as a captive forever until they die?
But I would be killing them still.
I don't think it's killing them if they just die from old age. Like, you
I
just
mean,
keep
That's
them,
true.
feed
it'd
them.
probably be a loophole.
Yeah. Probably
Yeah,
just keep them captive until they die of old age. You just spend like 50 years in a cage, surrounded by Khandra.
like that one dude they named the punishment after.
Oh yeah, I forget what his name is. So yeah, that was chapter 66. On to chapter 67. The epigraph is, Kolos also had little chance of breaking free. 4 spikes and their diminished mental capacity left them fairly easy to dominate. Only in the throes of a blood frenzy did they have any form of autonomy. 4 spikes also made them easier for Allomancers to control, In our time, it required a duralumin push to take control of a Khandra. Koloss, however, could be taken by a determined regular push, particularly when they were afraid. So what do you think about the fact that someone could take control of a Khandra, not a Khandra, a Koloss without duralumin?
So I figured they could.
Uh.
I just didn't know if they could do the same with Conjure or not.
Yeah, so they're basically confirming here that you cannot without duralumin.
For Conjure, yeah.
But a Koloss you definitely can.
Which, Breeze. Hey, hey, Breeze. But I guess
I still think Breeze is a savant, but
Breeze is
He
a Conjure.
definitely
What do you
is.
mean?
oh man. But he uses Allomancy, so there's no way.
Yeah, he can't.
No, but like he's like a conjurist, like stabbed through an Inquisitor who was stabbed through like
Oh my
the
god.
Oh my
the Mistborn,
gosh.
like he secretly has a
many.
little like
Mhm.
elemental spike somewhere, which is no. We've never seen him naked.
I mean, okay. That's one way to put it. I've never seen him naked, so.
That's a new rule in that world. Everybody has to get naked to
Is
see,
that what that
Oh,
is?
good.
yeah, to confirm that you're not part of Rune's army.
We move to Vin's point of view, as she and Ellen stand on top of the Fadric city fortifications. Thousands of Koloss were standing outside the city, the army continuously growing as more arrive. Yeoman asks why the Koloss don't attack, and Vin replies it's because Ruin wants to prove how badly he can beat them. She also thinks that Ruin is still waiting on information about the ATM. Vin thinks that when she had touched Ruin through Marsha's mind, she had felt fear. Ruin had been afraid of her when she'd been drawing on the mists. However, she still didn't understand how she had drawn upon them, and had not been able to again in the last few days. So what do you think of the fact that Vin still hasn't figured out the whole...
Oh my god, don't even.
That made me so.
I already knew. I was like, so
It
dumb.
made me so upset, and the fact that she tried something. So here's the thing. I started comparing her to Bella from Twilight,
Yeah, right.
where she was like, "I'm gonna throw myself in danger because like I want to see my man," and she's like, "I'm gonna throw myself in danger because I want power." Like, okay,
I knew you guys were gonna be really frustrated when I was...
that annoyed the fuck out of me
When you
the
make that, when you
most.
make that question, literally after we already know. Nah.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna be so annoyed with her.
We've been saying it for so long too.
Yeah, I mean, ever since fucking Darkness came up with the theory about it being Ruin that was manipulating, Spook. Like I've been like, wait, metal in a body part, like it makes sense.
It's crazy though, because like the way it happened is exactly how I said it happened.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which I want to know what Midnight's thought was when I said that shit. That shit was
Oh
funny.
my God. There's been so much stuff that you guys have said, and I'm like, how the fuck, guys?
Just that intuitive, eh? You need
I just
to get
don't know.
better.
I don't know what the fuck was happening with her, like her mind, like her mom's mind. Like what the fuck is happening?
She was crazy.
Yeah, her mom was unstable. Which
She was
made Ruin
already
able to control
unstable,
her.
and
So
Ruin
what
was
you're
just like,
saying is
"Alright,
like
cool, I
it
can
makes
do
sense that Ruin was able to manipulate then, because he's like able to manipulate like
He can
Yo,
manipulate
Casey's-
people who are unstable and people who have metal. Yeah.
yeah.
So because she was unstable, he was able to manipulate her into... Yeah. Well, we'll get into it.
doing his bidding, into doing his bidding."
But it's kind of weird that he chose her specifically.
Not really. It even states it later
Yeah,
in an
it-
episode.
No, but it's also states that he didn't know that's the combination he needed.
No, it says he did. He said there was something...
Yeah,
we'll
he
get
said he
into it.
was
It says there's
looking for
something
the specific
else.
combination.
Yeah, he was looking for that specific combination. There's something else about Vin or about the whole situation that's different. We'll get into that epigraph.
Really?
Yep.
But
I thought it said that he didn't even know.
I think I think you're forgetting the exact
He
wording
didn't.
of the epigraph.
What the wording was something like he didn't know why she was like much more than she is, but he knew that she fit the specific like criteria he was looking for, and that's all as far as he looked.
Yeah, because
But there's something else about Vin that is different that he didn't even
needed
see.
someone that was going to be able to feel the thumping of the well to get there. So giving her like her sister being a seeker and her already being a Mistborn.
I like how you.
So there's like other
I like how
stuff
you
that he
told me.
doesn't know.
I was right. I think it was last podcast or last episode when I was like, I thought something about her having another sibling, and you were like, no, it's just her brother, and I'm like, I swear they said something about another sibling.
No, I've always.
I feel like you
sister.
tried to miss.
I'm pretty
I have
sure
to go
I
back,
didn't.
but I'm pretty sure you tried to like sway me
No.
off of that.
I don't think I did. No.
Mm.
I don't think so either, because I brought up the fact that she had a sister, and I was like, yeah.
I'll have to go back. I swear
They've talked about her
we
sister
were
a
having
few
a
times.
conversation about
I've
it.
been open about the
Yeah.
sister.
Because I'm like, oh, how did your sister die? Like, what's happening?
I've definitely dissuaded about like in the past about Reen potentially being an Allomancer because I'm like they're pretty serious about him being her half brother.
Did talk about it, yeah, because I was like, what if he's an Elementor or this shit? And like,
They've always brought up though every time she brings up the earring, she's kind of like, oh yeah, the night that my mom killed my sister and stabbed me with and like gave me this earring and Reen saved me and took me away and then we became urchins on the streets.
buddies.
She brings that up multiple times. Like I've definitely never said that she didn't have a sister. Maybe you'd ask like
I'll go back
she,
to it. I'll go back to it.
The only thing I can think is if I thought you meant did she have other siblings outside of Reen the sister, I might have said like no, I'm pretty sure there's no idea of that being a thing, and maybe that was misconstrued. But I definitely wouldn't have meaningly like meant to ever say that she didn't have a sister. Yeah. So suddenly a large earthquake occurs, and Vin has to grab Yeoman to keep him from falling off the side of the fortifications. Rock ledges around the city break, and several buildings inside the city fall. Yeoman says that they are doomed, but Ellen replies that they'll still make it. The earthquakes also hurt the Koloss. He also mentions that they can always retreat to the cavern which the Lord Ruler very likely built to withstand earthquakes. Finn thinks that she needs to figure out a way to trick Ruin. She thinks about how the 2 times she had used the mist previously, she'd been extremely desperate. So maybe if she put herself in that sort of position again and forced Ruin to spring any surprises or traps that he had. However, Vin isn't sure that she'll tell Ellen about her risky plan, though. Because
somebody might be listening.
Yeah, because I think I missed that. Isn't sure how she'll be able to tell Ellen about her risky plan. Wonders if maybe she doesn't have to. So what do you think of Vin's plan to try and get herself to drop on the mist again and have Ruin reveal his plans?
I was just like, no, stop. You
I look
at other things. There are other reasons.
Yeah, and I also thought that it was kind of like, wouldn't he kind of expect, Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna work.
Yeah, I didn't either. I was like, there's no way Ruin falls for this. Like,
but like, I guess
no way.
I mean, it almost didn't work if it wasn't for Marsh.
Wasn't this the chapter where they're like, if another earthquake happens, we could just retreat into like the caverns or whatever?
Yeah, well, that was the whole thing with Ellen saying, oh, well, the storage cavern likely can withstand the earthquakes.
Yeah, so in my head, I was like, I don't know if that would be safer at all. Because in my head, I was like, thanks to my extensive knowledge of earthquakes, through
wait, you have extensive knowledge of earthquakes?
Yeah, through like disaster movies,
Oh my God. Okay.
I've been through like 10 earthquakes.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Do you have extensive?
Yeah, no, me and Darkness technically live on like the same kind of earthquake line.
Don't try to jump onto Darkness.
Yeah, right.
Like what the hell?
We literally have a scheduled earthquake every other week.
Like the worst kind of thing. Like what the hell?
I remember this one time I saw Chris bouncing all over the place, but yeah, that was fun. I was like, isn't like that one of the most dangerous areas you can be in? But it makes sense why everyone's always going to the fucking like tunnels and shit in this book, especially later on after the thing with the mist happens. You know what I'm talking about, right? Like,
yeah.
Yes, we all read the same chapters.
You sure?
Yeah, we're sure.
Sometimes it feels like Midnight doesn't read. That's why.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't think Midnight actually knows what we're reading anymore.
Gosh.
Anyways. She's kind of forgotten the book.
Yeah, it's not like she reads it last minute or anything, right?
Finn tells Ellen that there is only one way to save the city. She has to go get it. He frowns and pauses, but correctly guesses that she means the atium. Finn tells Ellen that Ruin knows they have it, and that if she brings it here, at least they can use it to fight. Ellen agrees it'd be better here and gives a flimsy excuse of using it to bribe some warlords to help. She then tells Ellen she needs to leave and gives him a hug and then a kiss. Finn then checks her metal reserves and grabs some horseshoes and begins heading off towards Luthadel. She knows Ruin is watching her, and she thinks that they'll have a chase. What do you think about Vin separating herself from Ellen at this like crucial time as everything's kind of coming to a head?
Pretty stupid.
What do you think, Darkness?
Afraid it would happen, which is what I told you. Like, oh, they would have that moment where they needed to trust each other.
So then, chapter 68's epigraph. When the Lord Ruler offered his plan to his fair chemist friends, the plan to change them into mist race, he was making them speak on behalf of all of the land's fair chemists. Though he changed his friends into Khandra to restore their minds and memories, the rest he left as non-sentient mist race. These bred more of their kind, living and dying, becoming a race unto themselves. From these children of the original myth race, he made the next generation of Kandra. However, even gods can make mistakes, I have learned. Rashek, the Lord Ruler, thought to transform all of the living feruchemists into mist race. However, he did not think of the genetic heritage left in the other Terrace people, whom he left alive. So it was that feruchemists continued being born, if only rarely. This oversight cost him much, but he gained the world so much more. So what do you think about the fact that technically only the first generation were original Terracemen and all the other mist race the children of the original feruchemists?
That was kind of weird to me, cause like this was their children after they got a new body, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like as sentient mist rays, they fucked.
So no, it's the non-sentient ones, the like animalistic mist race. They basically became their own species. They fucked. They had kids.
I just love hearing Midnight say that.
Wait, but like, so it's not the sons of the.
It's not the sons of the first
sentient
generation,
ones.
but it's the sons of all of the feruchemists, other feruchemists that were alive during Rashek's time.
So the only ones who had sentience were the first generation. The rest of the feruchemists got turned into mist rays, who didn't have sentience. They fucked. They made the next generations, and then they got sentience.
Yeah, so technically, besides the first generation, none of the other Kandra have ever lived as Terrace people.
I see.
They've always been mist race in Kandra.
Always have been.
Alright, so we move back to Say's point of view as he is led through the cave system past tons of different Kandra. He notes that there aren't any real buildings inside the caverns, but there are some areas with drapes covering the openings. The Kandra also seem afraid of him as they peek at him from around corners or stand in shock as he passes. Eventually they reach a large metal door, and Say's asks if the Kandra are still forbidden to kill humans even though their father, the Lord Ruler, is dead. The Kandra replies that he isn't sure if the first Kandra is still valid or not and seems very uncomfortable. So what do you think of the Kandra being afraid of Sayst?
I mean, Say's is pretty powerful, so knowledge is power after all.
So like studious as fuck or whatever. So like him just being there in general could reveal a secret even if they try their hardest, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And they can't really do anything about it, so.
Yep.
Yeah, they can't him. Yeah.
Unless they decided to, go against the contract, which that would be crazy.
That'd be crazy.
But,
No one would do that.
No
Kandra would ever go against the first contract.
No,
well, they would never hurt another human, even though there was a contract in the first place in order to stop humans from hurting them because they started hurting humans, But like whatever.
No.
So Say's
Nobody'd be that stupid.
Say's is soon led into the large room and sees several tall Kandra who he notes seem to be aristocrats. Kandra that led him inside tries to get Say's to stand at a lectern in the middle of the room, but Say's wanders around, noting the metal plating surrounding the room, and asks if it serves a purpose. One of the tall Kandra states that it will be asking the questions, but Say's replies that they won't. He then tells them that he is the announcer and he knows their origin and how they were created. He says that he has come to announce to them that he has found the hero, that they may prepare themselves for the end is here. The two aristocratic Kandra stand quietly for a few minutes before telling the guards to go get the others. Sayson states that he requires a table, a chair, and something to write with. As he has brought these things, the amount of Kandra in the room grows to 20, with 12 of them being the aristocratic Kandra. Sayson takes out his metal mines, clasping his copper mines to his arms. He has then brought thin metal sheets with a metal pen-like object to make indentations in the sheets. So were you surprised they were kind of going along with what Say's said here?
No, Say's is powerful.
Honestly, low key, yeah. But then when he said, "I'm gonna get that I'm gonna get that chair, that table, and that sheet to write in," I was like, "That's where the epilogues? No, right? What are they called?
Yeah, no,
Epigraphs.
Epigraphs. That's where they're coming from. That's what I thought. But Also, I was thinking like, there's noble conjure, cause that's crazy to me.
Yeah, well,
like, is it like?
We learned that he's referring to the seconds. They're basically just the ones in charge, so he's saying that they seem kind of aristocratic.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking like, does like the true bodies they're made out of, like what they're made out of, does that contribute to any like social status in their conscious society or whatever? But,
I don't know if it technically does, but I think they definitely try. I think especially the seconds definitely try and have true bodies
to be a little more shimmery.
Yeah, they're like extra fancy because they're like, we're in charge, we're the best.
We're noble born.
I would go to like a fucking junkyard.
I think Tensoon mentions in some of the earlier chapters that the seconds have like really fancy bodies, but they're like very fragile because they're made of like fancier stone.
Do they use bodies made of metal?
Their egos are pretty fragile too, so.
No, I don't think any of them have metal bones. They all have
I want to see that.
They all have either stone or wood.
I want to see them just get flung around.
Except for the first generation, who has bones.
I think I would choose metal just to get flung. Imagine somebody like steel pushes you. You're like, wee.
Or fucking pulls you to
Pulls
them.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're stumped. Like.
So once settled, Zaze asks the aristocratic Kandra if they are the first generation, which they reply that they are the seconds. Zaze then apologizes for taking up their time and asks to speak with their superiors. The leader of the seconds, however, says that there is no reason for Zaze to meet the first, and says that they don't believe he is the announcer.
Ha!
Wait.
This man is definitely the announcer.
I don't mean to interrupt, but
No, you do.
can you make a body with the true what is it?
A true body?
The true thing or whatever. I forgot it's called
A
already.
true body?
Yeah, can you make like a you know how they can transfer?
Yeah, I think they can make like flesh around it. I don't think they would. I think you'd have to get hair from somewhere if you wanted hair, but.
I see. So like they could consume everything else except the bones and still use that as the base.
Yeah, they basically have human bodies. They just make the skin translucent.
You see,
And they
that's
have
the
genitals.
issue with me and Conjure. I can't picture them. So what I picture with Conjure is just like slime blobs from like dungeons. That's what they look like.
Yeah.
Body goals, honestly, but that's crazy. That's cool. I want to be one. But you can continue. I was just curious if you could use the true body.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they can. Just change to flesh tone skin instead of clear skin.
I was just thinking, like, wouldn't the bone using those be better than using actual bones? Because like they're stronger.
Well, the reason they generally use actual bones when they're out on contract is because they're generally impersonating someone, so they need to make sure that like they're the right size for like the shape of the person, and also then they can get all the like hair and everything when they consume the body.
Mm-hmm.
But hair leaves evidence. That's bad. Oh my god, Conjure would make the perfect hitman.
Yeah, but they can't kill humans, so.
Yeah.
They can't like now.
They'd be more like the hitman assistants. I mean, I feel like that's the
clean up crew.
In all honesty, Darkness, I feel like that's the reason they were getting hunted, because they do make the perfect assassins. You would never know, you know. So
imagine that's
down.
insane. And also the house wars that would start, because you can make it so like you kill someone, impersonate them from a different house, and have them kill somebody else from an allied house, and then like
of course.
So a different second then asks if Tensoon sent Sazed, and he replies that he did. The Kandra, Kanpar, he finally introduces himself as, then says that Sazed can't say anything that Tensoon didn't already try. However, Sazed then brings up that his keeper's specialty is religions, and that out of the more than 500 religions he knows of, only the Terrace religion survived the Lord Ruler's reign. Sazed explains that he has a book that contains all of the information he was able to gather about the Terrace religion, that it has been changed by Ruin. Kanpar calls the book useless, but Sazed replies the book is very useful because if they compare it to the true telling of the religion that the Kandra know, they can figure out exactly what Ruin changed and why to figure out his plans.
This is why Sazed is a god.
A voice then speaks from above, silencing Kanpar. Another voice from above tells the seconds to leave. One of the voices then says they will listen to the descendant of the World Bringers. The seconds look rattled, but they do leave the room. A door then opens at the back of the room.
Probably the worst idea, to be honest.
And the first generation joins Sazed. Sazed notes they seem to use real bones, and the first say that it is their original bones from their terrace bodies. They are there are only 10 firsts, and Sazed moves to sit in front of them and says that they should begin. So were you surprised the first agreed to speak to Sazed?
I was surprised the first actually had voices.
They're not just puppets. They're actually still themselves. Not puppets.
Which is crazy, because
they let all this shit happen. That's crazy.
For real.
Yep.
Like old people today.
I know, right?
Yeah. Also, what did you think about the first using their original bones? Their
That's
actual
cool.
bodies.
It's like they're still them.
Did you have any thoughts about them using their real bones, Mythic?
Yeah, I mean it's cool.
So chapter 69's epigraph.
Ha, nice.
All right, epigraph. The question remains, where did the original prophecies about the hero of ages come from? I know now that Ruin changed them, but did not fabricate them. Who first taught that a hero would come, one who would be an emperor of all mankind, yet would be rejected by his own people? Who first stated he would carry the future of the world on his arms, or that he would repair that which has been sundered? And who decided to use the neutral pronoun so that we wouldn't know if the hero was a woman or a man? So where do you think the original hero of ages prophecy came from?
I don't know. Long time ago. Long time ago.
We know that, but like, I wonder if it came from like, huh? I wonder if it was like, whoa, wait, what if it did come from Ruin?
You think the whole prophecy itself came from Ruin?
Yeah, what if it was like something Ruin and Preservation like left behind? Cause like we know that ATM is from Ruin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was said that in like one of the epigraphs or something, I don't remember, or like it was described in a paragraph. It was like the ability to see the future derives from like God power or whatever, right?
Yeah, because that's the
So like
ability
what
from
if
ATM, which is from Ruin.
yeah, what if like that prophecy came from him being able to see like what's gonna happen and all that?
Mm.
Or what if it came from the other person? I can't remember his name. That's in
Preservation?
every book. No, that's in
Oh.
every book.
Oh, Hoyd?
Hoyd. Hoyd. Yeah, Hoyd. What if it came from Hoyd?
You think Hoyd came to Scadrial long, long ago?
Long, long time ago. But that's just a theory. A Mistborn theory.
Also, did you have any thoughts about these like descriptions of the hero of ages they kind of give in this epigraph?
At this point, I don't believe I actually thought about what they've been saying about him until a little later when Ellen figures out some things. And then I was like, huh, that's weird. Look who might be the quote unquote hero of ages. Mr. I'm gonna lead a bunch of Alamancers.
So you now think Ellen's the hero of ages?
I think everyone is a hero of ages. That's
I
why I
see, I
said
see.
quote unquote.
I see.
I do not believe one person is the hero of ages. I
No,
believe
bruh.
the
I'm getting really
hero.
concerned actually. I just
Oh
realized
no.
something.
What?
Well, what?
Where's Human?
Where is human?
Human. Is Human the hero of ages?
Human is the hero of ages.
Oh god, that'd be the best. That'd be the best fucking shit.
Will human be rejected by his own people?
Yes.
Human's gonna absorb his own people. What if
No.
you like
But what if he is though rejected by his own people? Oh man, I gotta go through all the fucking things again. I want to put it all to human. It's all human.
It's all human.
What were all of them?
have they ever tried making colas out of colas?
I don't think so.
That'd be a very powerful colas, honestly.
It would be a titan.
Gosh, are they not already titans?
Like a titan, like from AOT.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Are they not already titans?
I don't think so. Those titans are like what? Like hundreds of feet?
Not all of them. Some of them are only like 10 feet tall.
I don't know, I've never seen it.
Why are you talking about it? Attack on Titan if you've never seen it?
I've seen stuff about it, but that's what it reminds me of.
Okay. So we switched to Marsh's point
Okay,
of
so
view.
wait,
Oh.
so wait, are we going through? Because now I'm really curious. I'm going through all of my epigraphs. Are we everything that has been stated from the first book till now that is stated in some way, shape, or the prophecy could all be tied into one person, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go through all of these epigraphs now.
They should all
Specifically
tie-
say they have to be human though?
No,
I don't think it
it
does.
does not. I don't think so.
What if they use gender neutral pronouns because it's not actually a person?
Yep, exactly.
So we switch to Marsh's point of view as he kneels in a pile of ash, hating himself and the world. He thinks that he had been with Vin but had been unable to speak with her. Marsh does think that when Vin had taken control of him for a second, he had felt hope and Ruin had felt fear. Suddenly he is commanded to stand, and Ruin once again controls him. He uses coins like Vin uses horseshoes as he heads off somewhere. Once night falls, Marsh is eventually commanded back to the ground, and he sees a solitary figure with a horse in the distance. Marsh launches himself at the figure, who pulls out a sword. So at this point, did you realize who Marsh had found?
Oh yeah, instantly.
Instantly, yeah.
No, Loki, at first I was like, is this Tensu? Because I was like, a horse? Going through all that shit alone? But then I saw, like, I heard the, like, I mean, I read the human part,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh, it's that one motherfucker that left, like, 300 years ago.
300 years ago.
See, I thought he made it by that point, but whatever.
Still a long way to go, and he doesn't have powers to get him places like everyone else.
He put up, like, hell of a good fight, though.
Yeah. So Marsh lands on the horse's back and places a foot on the beast's face as he flips off of it. Because show off. Marsh pulls out his obsidian axe and takes off the horse's two front legs as it whinnies loudly. The man then attacks, stabbing Marsh in the back with his sword. Marsh taps healing to keep himself standing, and he can feel the man reaching for his back spike, but Marsh burns pewter and quickly turns around. In his head, Marsh thinks that he should have let the man grab the spike. Marsh swipes at the man's head with his axe, but the man rolls away and takes a dagger out to swipe at Marsh's leg. However, Marsh taps speed and easily dodges the attack. Marsh then kicks the man in the chest, breaking his ribs. Marsh thinks that he sees the man reaching for another dagger, but instead he pulls out a sheet of folded metal and begins to crumple it. Marsh has an overwhelming urge to take it, and he screams, chopping off the man's arm and then his head. The blood fury takes over him, and he continues to chop the man's body long after he is dead. So were you upset that Marsh killed Gorodel before he could get Spook's message to anyone?
Not really.
I knew Spook's fucking note wasn't gonna get to where it needed to be. I stated it last time too.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping it would, but I'm not upset it didn't.
And it never works out that way.
It was a long shot. So Ruin tries to get Marsh to stop killing to grab the sheet of metal, and for a second Marsh thinks that, like the Koloss, he cannot be controlled while in a blood fury. However, Ruin suddenly is able to take control again, and Marsh grabs the sheet of metal from the chopped off arm. Ruin commands Marsh to read the sheet of metal out loud. Marsh quickly realizes that Ruin cannot read the sheet of metal as he unfolds it. He tries to resist reading it, but is unable to. Spook's letter to Vin reads that Ruin had been able to take control of him through a small sliver of metal inside his body. He explains how Ruin can take the form of anybody and to not trust anyone pierced by even the smallest bit of metal. Marsh then crumples the sheet of metal and throws it into the ash, and then heads off towards Luthadel. So what do you think of Spook's letter, and do you agree that it would have been helpful for Vin to receive it?
Nah.
Not really.
With the contents, I was like, you know.
I mean, maybe she would have figured out the whole earring thing.
Yeah, but maybe. But at the same time, I don't know. I think that it went to the perfect person to find that out.
Yeah, to be fair, it does help out in the end.
Yeah. Okay, I've gone through every one of these epigraphs that I can think of that has anything to do with the Hero of Ages, and honestly, Human could be the fucking Hero of Ages. A lot of these actually would work really well with him, and this is also from some of the epigraphs of these chapters we've read.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm using a chapter that apparently, actually, no, I guess I think this is the right chapter, right? Chapter 75 would be, yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, 76 would be the one that I have that I don't.
Yes.
I shouldn't have. But yeah, no. So pretty sure. What was the one that I was just thinking? He who is not of his people yet fulfills all of their wishes. I mean, we don't know a lot about Human, but I mean,
you will find out next episode.
Oh, I'm sure because it's the end of the book. Trying to do it before the end of the book, okay?
I know. What were you gonna say, Darkness?
I was gonna say that line doesn't that like correspond technically to like Contra as well?
Yeah,
because he was from the Contra were from Terrace people.
Like Tensoon is the Hero of Ages.
Yeah, which is also another one of the epigraphs. So you know, we can command a rebel caught between two worlds. Oh God, everything could fill anybody, honestly. So,
Chapter 70, the epigraph. Kellyan actually placed his spike himself, as I understand it. The man was never entirely stable. His fervor for following Kelsier and killing the nobility was enhanced by Ruin, but Kellyan had already had the impulses. His passionate paranoia bordered on insanity at times, and Ruin was able to prod him into placing that crucial spike. Kellyan's spike was bronze, and he made it from one of the first Allomancers he captured. That spike made him a seeker, which was one of the ways that he was able to find and blackmail so many Allomancers during his time as king of Urto. The point, however, is that people with unstable personalities were more susceptible to Ruin's influence, even if they didn't have a spike in them. That, indeed, is likely how Zane got his spike. So what did you guys think about correctly guessing that Kellyan had become a seeker?
I called it instantly, bro. I was like, that's how he fucking did that shit, you know, like, but no, you just had to say, oh, the fucking spike doesn't correspond to the power,
We don't know, yeah.
No, bro, we're fighting.
No, she does it a lot, doesn't she, Darkness? Where she tries to like sway us away from our actual correct opinions. You know?
Right.
It's crazy.
Also, what did you think about the confirmation that Zane was already unstable? He was not just insane because of his spike.
Oh, was unstable? Yeah, I'm pretty sure we already knew he was unstable long before. I didn't think Ruin was the reason he was unstable. I mean, just unstable.
It's fine, he's dead. No one cares about him.
Was honestly attractive, but you know.
We switch to Ellen's point of view as he and Yeoman walk through the soldiers protecting the city. Yeoman says that they need to be working on sanitation problems as an army exists on health and food. Ellen recognizes this advice from a book and thinks that in a less dire situation he would have spent hours with Yeoman discussing philosophy. Ellen then suggests moving on to the infirmary, and as they walked, Ellen made sure to give nods or salutes to any soldiers he sees on the streets. Ellen then says to Yeoman that he doesn't know much about leading an army. Yeoman quotes some things from some books, and Ellen calls him out on it and says that their scholars forget that the Forget about the impact that emotion can have on a battle. He says that the soldiers need to see their leader fighting, or at least see him directing the battle. Yeoman calls Elend interesting, and Elend calls himself a bastard in composition, as he is an amalgamation of a scholar, rebel, nobleman, Mistborn, and soldier. So do you agree with Elend that having a strong army is about more than just health and good tactics and food?
Well, yeah.
Repeat the question.
Did you kind of agree with like Elend's assessment about how it's more than what Yeoman's saying about what makes an army? Like they need more than just like health and food. They need
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, you see it all the time in like, leadership positions during like armies and stuff. Especially when they like the comparison between two armies, one that doesn't have like a good emotional pull over their people, and then one that does. Because like there's the debate between like ruling an army through like fear and negative emotions, and then one through like confidence, and like positive ones. So both work. I doubt it would work without it.
So they then arrive at the infirmary, which is a converted ministry building. Yeoman hurries off to talk to the physicians about the infections, and Elend goes to the most severely wounded to give them encouragement. He feels guilty when seeing all of the injured, as he feels like he should have known that Ruin tricked him into thinking the Inquisitors were the only ones who could control the Colas. He thinks that he had doomed this city.
Because he did.
Suddenly there is a commotion, and Elend goes over to see a woman with a young boy who is shaking due to mist sickness. Yeoman chastises the woman for not letting her son out into the mist earlier, as now he will take a bed that one of the wounded soldiers needs. Elend asks Yeoman if he ever figured out the reason for the mist sickness, and Yeoman asks if there needs to be a reason. Elend brings up the 16%. Elend brings up the 16%, and then Yeoman says that it makes sense, since 16 is a powerful number. It was the number of days that the Lord Ruler took to reach the Well of Ascension, the number of original Inquisitors, the number of precepts in each canton's charter, and the number of allomantic medals.
And I was like, oh, really now? I've called this on the very first book.
Well, you called it there was going to be a lot more medals. I don't think you called the exact number for a while.
I said that with 8, I was like, there's probably 16. You can go back and remember.
Then also at one point you're like, oh, but then there's going to be 24 and then 32.
Yeah. No, that was on Spikes though. When we were on Spikes, then we were talking about
that was in the first book.
Yeah, for the medals, you're like, there's gonna be like 32 medals.
You had like a whole list of like 50 different medals or something.
I want to see that list, low-key.
It wasn't 50, but it was definitely a lot. I mean, I've deleted most of that because I started narrowing down what was there, but yeah.
When we had a lot less information, you at one point just kept saying there was going to be more and
more.
Yeah, well,
I mean, because there could be more medals, yeah. And then they started narrowing it down. And I was pretty sure I made the comment that it was like, there was going to be one for each, because like it seemed like everything had like its opposite or whatever. And then we narrowed that down to alloys and shit. And I started figuring out what alloys were, and I'm pretty sure I have more than 16 here, though.
Well, we got a confirmation when we saw that one symbol or whatever.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16,
17. I forgot. It was like a wheel with like.
The back of the second book.
I have 18. Yeah. Well, technically, I have 19 because I have Atium, and then I have a question mark for the one that gives allomancy because we don't have a name for it. And then I have Malatium, which wasn't a medal on here, so I technically have more than 16 on here. But
I don't know does that bead count as a medal?
I don't know. I just put it on here. ATM counts as a medal, so I mean, except now later though, when they talk about it, got me curious. I was like, well, maybe it's not actually an allomantic medal. Maybe it's just
it says it derives from him.
Like
so
it. Yeah, I was like, maybe it seems like it.
So maybe it's not a medal that's supposed to be there, and we're missing a medal.
It's just God's power.
So maybe there's technically 18 if you don't count the 2 special beads of metal.
There's 16 other than those 2 beads? Yes, that's what I think.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Yeah. I think there are 16 that are not those 2 beads. However, also makes me think, okay, well, if Malatium is like the whatever alloy of Malatium, right?
Of Atium.
So wouldn't that it wouldn't make it a medal, yeah. Because
but does that make but if that qualifies it as Atium being a medal that you can use, which technically you can use, and it would have fallen into the temporal category that they added. So
yep, I like that too. I like that they gave categories for each one too.
Categories really nice. Here. I'm actually gonna get into that in a second.
Yeah.
I was telling somebody about this, and I was like, "There's the like physical, the mental, and then I forgot the third one, and I was like temporal. So I don't remember the third one.
Huh? Enhancement.
Which one?
Physical, mental, enhancement, and temporal.
Enhancement, right?
Yeah, well actually, that's my next
Okay,
paragraph
so
here.
wait 1 second. So silver is what's inside Vin's earring, right? Like it's a silver wrapped in bronze or whatever it is.
No, I
Or
think it's the opposite. I
copper?
think it's silver plated
Other way.
bronze.
Oh, other way around. Okay,
Yeah, I think the actual earring is bronze, but it's plated in silver.
I gotcha. Okay, and then they've stated numerous times silver is not
Silver is
a
not an
metal.
elemental metal.
I still have it on my list. I don't know why. So maybe I'm
Yes.
holding out hope.
Ellen cuts in saying there are only 14 metals, but Yeoman replies that elementic metals come in sets of 2 with groupings of 4. 4 physical, 4 mental, 4 enhancement, and 4 temporal metals. Ellen glances at the boy and thinks about the day that he was beaten to try to get him to snap. Ellen has a realization and runs back to the main infirmary room and shouts out, asking who has been taken by the mists. One man
I would have just. I'm sorry, but I would have just shoved metal down that boy's throat.
while he's in the middle of a seizure.
Yeah, like if he can burn Peter, he'll do it subconsciously and just heal. But
So one man reluctantly raises his hand and Ellen has him drink a vial of metals. Ellen asks if he feels anything, and at first the man says he just feels tired, then he says he feels something odd. Ellen tells him to burn it, his body will know how. The man soon thumps with
I
elemental
love
power.
that. I just love that. Burn it. Your body will know how.
He's like, what the fuck? Oh, wait, cool. That's weird.
Okay.
Yeoman
I guess
asks
that makes sense.
Yeoman asks what Ellen is doing, and Ellen tells Yeoman the mists weren't trying to kill them, they were trying to snap them. Suddenly, someone shouts out that the Koloss are attacking. Ellen realizes that Ruin heard that he discovered the reason of the mist sickness. He yells at Yeoman to give metal vials to everyone who is taken by the mist sickness, as they are now Allomancers. Ellen then says that he is going to the front lines. So what were your thoughts on the reveal of what the mist sickness does?
I was right.
Your final reveal.
they're Mistborn. They're Mistborn.
I think they're just.
No, I think they're Mistborn.
Maybe. I think they're
simply because if it's the mist that derives from preservation, and it's that bead that gave that same power that gave Ellen like his Mistborn abilities, I wouldn't be surprised if it's just them being Mistborn.
Possible.
My other questions here is, what do you think of the Koloss attacking as soon as Ellen learned about the mist sickness?
He's always listening.
Yeah, well, it's ruined. So.
He's always listening. Of course. What?
He's like,
of course
they figured it out.
He's listening.
Oh no, they figured it out. Gotta attack.
I need someone to listen to me like Ruin listens to them.
I know, right? God damn, we all need that.
So
Ruin would be such a good therapist. He just listens to all your problems and then he's like, you know what the solution is? Killing people.
Death. We both
lots,
out of
death. Yeah, lots and lots of death.
You should just go kill everyone who causes you problems.
Honestly, I feel like me and Ruin would get along.
Right? I feel like you and Ruin would definitely get along. Do you enjoy killing yourself and he enjoys
killing
us?
God, we would be besties, and then he would be the one that doesn't like preservation because I'm crushing on preservation and he thinks he's not good. Anyway, I'm over here having a whole little.
Anyways, on to chapter 71. Chapter 71's epigraph. There is something special about the number 16. For one thing, it was Preservation's sign to mankind. Preservation knew, even before he imprisoned Ruin, that he wouldn't be able to communicate with humankind once he diminished himself. And so he left clues that couldn't be altered by Ruin, clues that related back to the fundamental laws of the universe. The number was meant to be proof that something unnatural was happening, that there was help to be found. It may have taken us long to figure this out, but when we eventually did understand the clue, late though it was, it provided a much-needed boost. As for the other aspects of the number, well, even I am still investigating that. Suffice to say that it has great ramifications regarding how the world and the universe itself works. What do you think is meant by the number 16 having implications for the universe and how it works?
There are 16 universes in object.
I mean, that's not a bad guess, honestly.
That's scary to think about.
There's 16 different universes, and they're all going to come together and have one big epic
We'll find
battle.
out in the fourth era, so.
Big battle.
Oh my god. Sorry, I was just thinking, they're going to space in the fourth era, and then I was like, Vasher in space!
Vasher in space! Ah.
Nightblood in space. You just strap Nightblood to the front of a rocket ship.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Oh my god, I want a collection of just like sentient like weapons.
Do you guys have any other thoughts about 16 in the universe, or should we move on?
Isn't that like, didn't something happen to Vin at 16? Did they meet at 15 or 16?
I think she was 16.
So many 16s. I'm just stuck on this possibility that human is the hero of ages.
How old do you think Reshek was when he first got into the Well of Ascension?
I'm pretty sure
16.
Yowen would have brought it up if he was 16.
I don't know.
I think he was older than 16.
We're back real quick.
Oh.
Alright. So we go back to Say's point of view as he talks to the first generation about what was changed by Ruin in his book. Haddock, the leader of the first generation, states that Ruin wanted Vin to release him. One of the other first also suggests that maybe Vin is not the hero of ages. Say's, however, insists that Vin fits the prophecies, even the unaltered ones that the first knew of. Haddock says they had assumed the hero would be a man, and Say's brings up the gender-neutral pronouns. So do you think Say's is right that Vin is, or is one of, based on your guys' theories,
There
the
you
hero of
go.
ages?
Yes.
I did add that in because I know that you guys don't believe that, or at least you have.
I don't. I just don't. Yeah.
You don't believe there's just one. But.
Nope. I think it can fit so many people that they're probably all just, the
Honestly,
reason it's gender neutral is because there are men, women, Kandra, Kolas, Inquisitors that are all
Marsh is also
a part of it. Yep, there's also a hero of ages.
Because he was rejected by his other Inquisitors because he killed a bunch of them.
and technically he let it. Yeah, he could.
He's still alive.
Unfortunately.
Wow, I thought you liked Marsh.
I liked him when he was like a victim.
Wow.
I mean, kind of is still a victim.
Yeah, he still is.
No, but you see, like he has a chance of recovery without my help. So.
Wait, what? Okay.
Anyways.
All right.
Sayce thinks about the line about how the hero will hold the future of the world on their arms. He thinks that there must be something specific for Vin to do. Sayce asks about the power of the well, but the first say that even they truly do not know what it is. Sayson has them explain about their gods, and one says that Ruin and Preservation created their world and their people. Another says that neither could create on their own due to their powers. Sayce is slightly bothered by this, as he feels many religions had this duality of two coming together to create the world, then thinks that just because it is common does not make it untrue. Haddock then talks of the deal between Preservation and Ruin. Preservation got Ruin to promise to help make man, and in turn agreed to let Ruin one day destroy the world, as we have learned. Preservation then betrayed Ruin, giving his life to imprison Ruin so that he could not destroy the world. Sayce still feels a bit disturbed by the thought of his religion, which Haddock notices and urges Sayce to speak on. Sayce briefly mentions how he tried to find the truth in religions, but could not. Now he's here to figure out the last religion, his own. Haddock, however, responds that Sayce is looking for a religion that does not require faith from its believers. Another first states that although they follow the Father in the first contract, they believe in preservation and that he had a plan for all of this. Sayce replies the followers are only offered proof if they believe, but that you can find proof in anything. Haddock just replies that faith isn't about logic. For Sayce, this isn't enough, but he moves on anyways. What do you think about Sayce still doubting after all this?
He's kind of weird, isn't he? But also, he redeems himself, so I'm okay with it.
What do you think, Mythic?
I think that dude nailed it on the head. Exactly what Say's problem is. He wants somebody to come to him and be like, "This is the right one. Believe it."
He wants Preservation to appear to him like he did to Elend.
Yeah, exactly. Which isn't going to happen. So.
I mean, to be fair, he technically did. He led him to Reddick Shaw when Vin was at the Well of Ascension. I don't think he knows though that was
no
Preservation.
No way he knows that.
Like your god did appear to you, you know. You just didn't know it or see it, really.
Mm-hmm.
So Sayce goes back to back to talking about the power, and Haddock confirms that the pool of liquid was Preservation's power, and that the black smoke was Ruin. Sayce says that there seems to be a disparity in the size of them, but Haddock replies that they were equally powerful, two sides of the same power. One of the others mentions that it is said that Preservation gave too much of himself to make mankind, which made Ruin slightly more powerful. It's also mentioned that the pool was Preservation, but not all of Preservation, as Preservation is everywhere. However, there was much black smoke because Ruin I can't speak, oh my god. Because Ruin was concentrated near the well due to being imprisoned. The first thing confirmed that Ruin's body is in the Kandra homeland. The Kolas were created to fight, the Inquisitors created to be priests, and the Kandra were created to gather the power and protect it and hide it from Ruin, who would one day come looking for it. The first then looked towards the large metal dais in the middle of the room, and Sayce gets up and walks over to it. One of the Kandra gasps as Sayce steps onto the dais, but none stop him. Glances down into the small hole in the center, but can't see anything in the darkness. So what are your thoughts on the purpose of the Kandra to be to hide and protect Ruin's body so that Ruin couldn't get to it?
Well, my first thought was if that was the plan all along, right, for those three groups to be in those specific spots, but metal inside of a body can be manipulated by Ruin, why are they not manipulated by Ruin?
Well, they also have the fewest spikes, and also, as we learn, Ruin doesn't know that they are hiding his body.
No,
also,
but he gets like information from all these other people who have spikes in them.
Mm-hmm.
How does he not have information from specifically the Khandra because they also have spikes in them.
Well, I was thinking like, didn't they describe how the room had like a metal encasing or
Metal
whatever?
Yeah,
encasing.
the whole room where the trust is completely plated in metal.
But I'm talking about they're talking right now, out loud.
In the metal room.
Oh, okay. I thought they weren't. I
Yeah.
didn't think they were
No,
in the
they're
metal
in the
room when
metal
they were
plated
talking.
room.
That's why when Sage was like, "Why is that shit in metal?" And I'm like, you know why? You know?
It's probably the only place that they talk
I remember them
about
walking in there.
the specifics of the contract and everything.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe that's. Oh, yeah. You know, makes more sense then. Never mind.
Yeah.
Makes more sense on why they didn't want them talking about the contract in general outside. Anyways, like talking to other people instead of just keeping their secret. It was like, don't say it. Because Ruin's listening.
Sage
That's
then
smart.
goes and grabs a pewter mind ring and uses his pewter to shove the metal dais along the floor. He peers down below where the dais was and sees something glittering below. Haddock says they call it the Trust. Thousands and thousands of atium beads fill the pit below where the dais had been. Haddock states that most of the atium never left the pits of Hathston. The obligators would secretly open the geodes in a metal-plated room and transfer empty geodes to Luthadel. A small amount of atium was transferred to Luthadel to be distributed to the nobles, but most was kept here. Sayes notes that the Khandra worked for atium, and Haddock agrees that they gathered as much as they could of what was sent to Luthadel. The rest was burned up by Mistborn. Sayes thinks that atium is not a normal metal. It is condensed, concentrated power of a god. So what are your thoughts about the confirmation of the atium being with the Khandra?
I was right.
Lucky we pretty much
Yeah, we both came
called
out with
it.
that.
Yeah. I was like, the Conja, they get paid with atium. The Conja they get paid with atium. Like for like half the fucking like time we were looking for that atium.
We then switch to Tensu's point of view as he moves through the ash in his horse body. As he crests a hill, he sees the ash mount Tyrion, which is the ash mount closest to Luthadel, had erupted. A river of lava blocks Tensoon's path, and he thinks it's hopeless to get to Fadrex even if he makes a detour. That's the end of that chapter. Chapter 72. Epigraph is, yes, there are 16 metals. I find it highly unlikely that the Lord Ruler did not know of them all. Indeed, the fact that he spoke of several on the plates in the storage caches means that he knew at least of those. I must assume that he did not tell mankind of them earlier for a reason. Perhaps he held them back to give him a secret edge, much as he kept the other single nugget of preservation's body that made men into Mistborn. Or perhaps he simply decided that mankind had enough power in the 10 metals they already understood. Some things we shall never know. Part of me still finds what he did regrettable. During the 1,000-year reign of the Lord Ruler, how many people were born, snapped, lived, and died, never knowing they were Mistings, simply because their metals were unknown. Of course, this did give us a slight advantage at the end. Ruin had a lot of trouble giving Duralumin to his Inquisitors, since they needed an Allomancer who could burn it to kill before they could use it. And since none of the Duralumin Mistings in the world knew about their power, they didn't burn it and reveal themselves to Ruin. That left most Inquisitors without the power of Duralumin, save in a few important cases such as Marsh, where they got it from a Mistborn. This was usually considered a waste, for if one killed a Mistborn with hemalurgy, one could draw out only one of their 16 powers, and the rest would be lost. Ruin considered it much better to try to subvert them and gain access to all of their power. So what do you think about the fact that you can only take one power from a Mistborn and not multiple or all of them?
That changes things.
Yeah, because I know that you guys kind of theorized about that for a while. Like, what happens if you
just do a Mistborn?
Yeah, steal powers.
I want to become a Mistborn. All right, stab a Mistborn.
But nope, you can only take one power from a Mistborn.
It's okay. Stab 16 Mistborns.
Or more.
Probably easier just to get a Mistborn and turn them into an Inquisitor.
Nope, stab 16 of them.
You have any other thoughts, Darkness?
Is there really a reason to even do that to a Mistborn? Or you could just do Mistings, though? Besides the Duralumin, that's, like...
Yeah, well, that's why they were saying it was a waste. They didn't generally take powers from Mistborn because it was such a waste.
Yeah, makes sense.
We then switch to Vin's point of view as she reaches Luthadel. She flares her bronze and can sense at least a dozen Mistborns following her. As she lands on the city wall, she can see the city is dying. There are buildings on fire despite the rain, and entire sections of the city have been torn apart. She stops thinking about the city, though, as she thinks of Ruin's minions coming to her, thinking she is leading them to the atium. She feels doomed, but that's the point. Vin begins jumping through the city, heading towards Shaw. She stops on the street in front of the large building, and Ruin appears next to her, saying that they've checked here before and that his Inquisitors are coming. Vin says he should have waited until she retrieved the atium and that she'll never do it now. Ruin replies that he no longer believes she has it, and Vin replies that he doesn't know that for sure, and he says he does not. Vin says he'll have to try to make her talk, and Ruin replies that he is the end. Vin then says he'll never have it while she lives. So do you think Ruin actually thought Vin would lead him to the Atium?
No.
I think he did for a bit.
Oh, I think Rowan's smarter than that. I think he thought, oh, this is a great opportunity for me to kill her. I no longer need her.
He's a dummy.
Ruin screams and then vanishes, and Vin sees roped figures walking towards her, surrounding her. Marsh is one of them, climbing over a destroyed building, and he appears to have over 20 spikes, while the other original Inquisitors in the past only had 9. The fight begins, 13 Inquisitors coming at her. Vin pushes one of the Inquisitors with Duralumum and then pulls an ice spike free from one of the others. She drinks down a vial of metal and sees Marsh watching her while the others attack. So why do you think Ruin had Marsh watching instead of attacking with the other Inquisitors?
I use your strongest thing, at the start.
Yeah.
Vin slams 2 daggers into the chest of an Inquisitor she had pulled the spike from, but it just laughs at her and slaps her arms away. Vin lands on her feet on the ground, and the Inquisitor lands on his back, but gets up quickly. The Inquisitor then moves with ferrochemical speed and grabs Vin by the throat. Vin uses a Duralumum-fueled push to get herself out of the Inquisitor's grasp, downs another metal vial. She thinks that ferrochemical stores can run out just like Allomancy, so she has a chance. The other Inquisitors land near her, and Vin has to dodge multiple attacks. She kicks one in the chest, and it screams as bones break, and it falls to the ground. She then picks up the Inquisitor's axe to block a blow from another one. Ruin tells Vin that she cannot fight, as each attack just helps him since he is Ruin. Vin screams and attacks the Inquisitors with the axe, barely dodging them as she fights. She takes a blow to the shoulder, but her pewter dulls the pain, and she keeps going. Marsh continues to watch as Vin jumps up onto the spires of Kredok Shaw, the other Inquisitors following her. Vin kicks one of them and grabs onto its robes as it falls. The Inquisitor taps strength and doesn't notice as Vin nudges them to the side until it hits one of the spikes of the building, piercing it through the chest. She hangs onto the Inquisitor by the head, and her weight pulls it down further onto the spire until the body rips apart and Vin is left with only the head. Marsh screams in anger, and 4 Inquisitors drop down beside her. She tries to kick one, but it grabs her foot. Another grabs her arm, and a third grabs her as well, but she uses Duralumum to push against them, throwing the Inquisitors back and away from her. Vin feels pain as she also falls to the ground, but she uses tin to keep herself conscious. Vin begins to run, but Marsh steps in front of her. He slaps her to the ground, and Vin thinks that now she needs the mist to help her. However, nothing happens as she silently pleads. Marsh kneels over her, and Vin tries to scramble away, but she can barely crawl. Marsh breaks her leg, and she tries to grab one of his spikes, but he grabs her broken leg to cause her to scream out again. Ruin asks Vin in her mind where the Atium is, but Vin just pleads with the mist to help her. Marsh yanks her back towards him and breaks her arm. Vin thinks that no one is coming to save her this time as Marsh breaks her other arm. So while you were reading this, did you think Marsh was going to kill Vin here?
No.
It sounds all dark, but I was hoping for it. Only because it would be such a cool thing to do. Story-wise. But, I mean, I figured it would happen. Like the mist thing.
Yeah, I was more thinking, oh, he's gonna keep hitting her, and it's gonna happenstance knock the earring out of her ear. Then the mist is gonna save her. But I liked it better the way it actually happened. So.
We switch to Marsh's point of view as he thinks that he could kill Vin if Ruin weren't holding him back. However, a small part of him says no. Marsh laughs as he breaks Vin's other leg, and then suddenly a voice in his head shouts no louder. Marsh awakens. He thinks that Kelsier treated her like a daughter. As he breaks Vin's fingers, he thinks that he can't give up again like he did with the rebellion. As he reaches for her collarbone, he remembers Vin telling him about her earring and how her mother gave it to her. He also remembers Spook's letter, telling Vin not to trust anyone spiked with even the smallest bit of metal.
Like I said, it got to the right person.
Amidst the thrill of killing, when Ruin's power over him was weakest, Marsh uses all of his strength to rip the earring from Vin's ear. Do you think that this act from Marsh is going to be important in defeating Ruin?
Yeah.
100%. Hello.
No.
Did you like how Spook's letter
went to the right person?
Marsh's constant struggle all kind of culminated in him getting the earring out of Vin?
That letter mattered?
Yes, the letter mattered.
I'm joking.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Who would have thought the kid who, everybody doesn't look at twice is doing something that saved the world.
Right.
We switch back to Vin's point of view as she can no longer hear Ruin's voice in her head. The mist surge upon her, spinning around her as Vin thinks she is dying. She sees Marsh reaching for his axe, and she feels like the mists feel familiar all of a sudden. A voice whispers in her head that the mists are the same as the power from the Well of Ascension, and the same as the metal she fed Elend. Vin gasps and suddenly draws in a breath, sucking the mists around her. Marsh swings his axe at her, and she catches his arm. So what do you think? We kind of already discussed this, but they kind of confirm here that the metal is the exact same as the power of the well and the mists.
I was thinking like, so you know how I was always like, oh, this is one well and this the other. There's two wells or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because there was two pools described in the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like Ruin who changed that, or is it like generally two different wells? Like, is that something that gets explained? Like, I don't understand
Yes,
if like,
it is
cause
something that
like,
gets explained.
so we're not there yet.
Yeah, no. We have the last bit here coming up, Darkness, and we'll find out.
Oh my god, that's where Vin went.
Yeah, went to the other
Anyway,
pool.
So chapter 73, the epigraph is, I have spoken of Inquisitors and their ability to pierce copper clouds. As I said, this power is easily understood when one realizes that many Inquisitors were Seekers before their transformation, and that meant their bronze became twice as strong. There is at least one other case of a person who could pierce copper clouds. In her case, however, the situation was slightly different. She was a Mistborn from birth, and her sister was the Seeker. The death of that sister, and subsequent inheritance of a power via the hemalurgic spike used to kill that sister, left her twice as good at burning bronze as a typical Mistborn, and that let her see through the copper clouds of lesser Allomancers. So what do you think about the confirmation of Vin's mom spiking Vin by killing Vin's sister, who had been a Seeker?
well, I
Makes
called
sense.
it like straight up.
It also does confirm, though, that then her sister was also probably from that same obligator fucked up. Since her sister was also an Allomancer. That guy really fucked up. He didn't have just one, but two
Honestly,
kids.
technically, he would be fine because the daughter died anyway. So.
Yeah, but still, he's not supposed to be having kids with Ska anyways,
Mm.
in the first place.
Guess it worked out for Ruin.
Yeah, everyone was happy about it. So we move to Tensoon's point of view as the mists change. The mists usually swirl about in chaotic patterns, sometimes moving with the wind, but now it was all flowing in one direction, with absolutely no wind. It moves like one giant river towards Luthadel. Tensoon thinks that maybe he isn't late after all, and hurriedly gallops back the way he had come. So what were your first thoughts about reading about the mists suddenly all moving to Luthadel?
I figured that's what was happening when, Vin called upon the fucking thing, the mist.
I thought I figured, well, this is the second body, or however many body, whatever. This is the second body we get to see of preservation.
When she first said like, "Oh, I'm gonna like do this plan to see if the mist helps me or whatever,"
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was wrong. I knew it would happen
Mm-hmm.
when Marsh was fucking her up. I knew she
Yeah.
would like find a way to like call upon the mist, quote unquote call, which
Mm-hmm.
at that point I was like, she's gonna absorb the mist itself, and then like that's what's gonna cause her to ascend into like
Godhood.
preservation. But
Mm.
and that's what I like assume her disappearing is. But
Yeah, we'll get to that soon. We move to Breeze's point of view as Alrion calls out for him to look out the window. Breeze had been working on a treaty, and he says out loud that he had not wanted to do this sort of thing. Alrion calls out for him again and pulls on his emotions blatantly. Breeze reluctantly gets up and goes over to the window, asking what she wants before trailing off as he sees the mist moving like a river and accelerating. Suddenly Spook barges into their room and demands that they gather the people and bring them to the storage cavern, as they don't have much time. So why do you think Spook is so insistent that they get everyone to the storage cavern?
The end of days is coming.
Do you think he knows something? Or is he just guessing?
I'm probably just guessing, like most people.
Darkness?
no, it's kind of weird because he's. How did he know to write it on steel? By the way,
Well, Ellen had been doing that for a while.
writing on steel.
Writing on metal, yeah. Since the end of the second book. Remember, it's been like about a year or so since the end of the second book. Remember, they find out from Quan's writings that like nothing not written in metal can't be trusted.
That's true, but like I don't remember them doing that. Maybe I blanked.
I'm pretty sure it's mentioned at the beginning of this book. Like Vin and
There's
Ellen.
a lot of information in this book.
Yeah, I think Vin and Ellen talk about how they've started sending like messages by like through scouts on metal sheets. So like he's probably received messages from them on metal as well. Like I'm sure the whole crew is kind of aware of the like we only send important messages on metal sheets to each other.
I see. Wasn't it discussed what they should do with the like tunnels and stuff?
Tensoon had talked to.
Right. Okay. So
People
yeah,
in
that's probably
Luthadel.
why.
Yeah.
I'm assuming this is Tensoon's influence.
You think maybe Tensoon told Spook before he left, like, hey, if shit goes down, get people into the cavern?
Yeah, because he literally told people at Luthadel, right?
That's true.
Why wouldn't he
did.
tell
He
people
could have. We
here?
just might not have seen it. Could have been like as he was leaving, like, hey, make sure that if stuff happens, just get in the storage cavern. Just do it.
And
Right
also,
away.
you would think like the storage cabins would help in general, since that's what you guys have been looking for this whole time. But
So we go back to. Oh, wait, sorry. Next we go to Ellen's point of view, as he and Ham stare out at the soldiers fighting the Koloss. Ellen had been going around trying to help with any holes in their defenses as Set gives battle tactics from below. They had newly realized Allomancers fighting as well. However, he freezes as he sees the mist beginning to move. A messenger suddenly arrives and tells Ellen that the Koloss are retreating. He sees that they are running towards Luthadel. What do you think about Ruin now sending all of the Koloss also to Luthadel?
I would too if Vin was ascending right in front of my eyes.
What'd you think, Mythic?
They were headed towards Luthadel, right?
Yeah, they're heading towards Luthadel. But
What if they're headed towards... There's no way. What if they're headed towards the pits?
Oh, you think maybe... I mean, that is in the same direction. Ellen wouldn't be able to tell exactly what their destination is.
Yeah.
You think maybe Ruin somehow found out where the A-team is?
Could be.
yeah, possibly the person who stages the coup.
Fucking Kung Pao.
Kung Pao.
Maybe
That's
Cam
the
Par
name
was
that we're-
discussing important stuff outside of the
Pao.
metal room.
So annoying.
I agree. He's very annoying.
We go back to Vin's point of view as she fights the Inquisitors with metal reserves she shouldn't have. Every steel push and iron pull surged with the force of Duralumim, but the metals never ran out. Fighting 12 Inquisitors no longer felt like an impossible task, and she easily dodged their attacks. Marsh lay stunned on the ground from where she had thrown him after drawing upon the miss. She tries to punch him, but he rolls away, causing her to break the cobblestones beneath where he had been. So what do you think about the fact that she now pretty much has like unlimited allomancy powers?
Unlimited.
She's such a
power!
show-off.
Yeah, very much a show off.
Like father, like daughter, you know?
Vin turns on the Inquisitors that are coming at her from behind, swirling in a frenzy as she takes off one Inquisitor's arms and then beheads 2 of them. She pulls on an Inquisitor, yanking out his eye spikes while flying through the air and kicks off of him. She learns that taking out both eye spikes is enough to kill an Inquisitor, apparently. She then uses the spikes that she had taken to hit another Inquisitor, throwing him to a roof so hard that his spikes are pushed out of him. 8 Inquisitors come after her, and she pushes them away, also destroying one of the spires of Krennic Shaw. Vin is thrown up above the miss and can see it swirling in a whirlpool below her. A line follows her up like a tether. She falls back down into the miss, welcoming it inside her. As she descends, she sees that one of the Inquisitors got killed by her last push. What did you say?
No, then I'm laughing.
Oh.
Welcoming it inside her.
What are your thoughts?
Oh no.
What are your thoughts on the fact that all of the mist is coming to swirl around Vin in a vortex? I mean, I think you kind of already said that you think that she's ascending.
She
Yeah.
is ascending. 100%.
She was absorbing all the mist, and you know, that's his body. She was ascending because of that. God is Vin.
Vin is God. God is Vin.
Inquisitors rush at her, but Vin pushes them away again, and Krennic Shaw also explodes. Towers fall from the foundation, doors and windows ripping free and shattering. Everything, even stone, which contains residual traces of metal, were thrown by her push. Krennic Shaw is a pile of rubble, but Inquisitors still burst from it. She pushes and pulls on spikes to kill 2 more of them. She finds an Inquisitor in the rubble and kicks its head free to make sure it's dead. 3 Inquisitors rush at her, and Vin pulls on a fallen spire to push at them, crushing them. The rain stops as Vin finds another Inquisitor in the rubble, and as she reaches towards it, she sees the mist seems to be coming from her hand and body. She pulls the Inquisitor up and pulls out its eye spikes, killing it as well. She then finds the last Inquisitor, Marsh, trembling with one spike gone from his side. The final wisps of the mist get sucked into Vin as she stares down at Marsh, thinking that he is no longer Kelsier's brother. The mists were completely gone, showing the starlight above. She begins to tremble as the power inside her burns hotter and hotter. We move back to Marsh's point of view as he watches Vin reach for his eye spikes. He thinks in relief that it finally worked. He could feel Ruin's rage, and Marsh felt like he did Mare proud. Vin pulls out one of his eye spikes, causing him to scream in pain, and then reaches for the other. However, she hesitates for a moment, and just as she begins to touch his spike, she vanishes. A misty outline is left behind, and then dissipates. But what did you think
Sounds
about
a lot
Vin
like a mist spirit.
What did you think of Vin absorbing all of the mist and disappearing suddenly?
Mist spirit.
That's her, like, that's her body, like, you know, like Mythic is saying right now. Because you would assume, since their bodies are described as mist, which is black and white mist,
Their bodies
and she's taking the power. Huh?
Technically, their body is described as both the metal, the mist, and the
Yeah.
well.
Which is what I was thinking. I was like, what is she, like, the last step she needs is like that metal
She needs to
for
eat one of
herself.
the beads of metal.
Like, imagine, like, that's her, like, full transformation.
Well, as far as we know, Ellen had the last one.
What do you mean?
Remember, they only found the one bead of metal, which Ellen had.
No, I mean, like, the ATM.
Oh, you think she needs to take Ruin's body?
Well,
I
Tensoon
think-
did say that they needed to give her the trust.
That's true.
We must trust Vin.
Chapter 74. The epigraph is, she once asked Ruin why he had chosen her. The primary answer is simple. It had little to do with her personality, attitudes, or even skill with allomancy. She was simply the only child Ruin could find who was in a position to gain the right hemalurgic spike, one that would grant her heightened power with bronze, which would let her sense the location of the Well of Ascension. She had an insane mother, a sister who was a seeker, and was herself Mistborn. That was precisely the combination Ruin needed. There were other reasons, of course, but even Ruin didn't know those, which is what we were talking about earlier with you, Darkness.
Yeah.
So, what do you think these reasons are that Ruin doesn't know? What do you think that means?
She was always a god.
Maybe it's because she falls, like, that would have to be, like, from the very beginning. I was saying maybe because she falls, like, the best into the prophecy.
We switch to Elend's point of view, as the day breaks with no miss. He's injured, but mostly just bruised. You can see Kolos corpses littering the ground, with some humans also mixed in with them. Elend thinks that the only reason they survived was due to the last-minute addition of the Allomancers. Yeoman comes over to him and says that the Ska have hidden in their homes after seeing the mist disappear. Although the ash still falls heavily, Yeoman also mentions that it's quite hot, and Elend thinks that something is very wrong. He tells Yeoman to search for the wounded and then get everyone into the storage cavern. He also says to tell the soldiers to be ready for something, although he's not sure what. So what do you think is happening here? Why do you think it's so hot out, and why do you think Elend's
Mist went away, so now the sun, which was changed, is now bearing down on them.
Did the ash stop?
No, the ash is still falling.
No,
That's the thing.
it's going.
The ash was
the
supposedly the thing that was keeping the atmosphere cool. Like it was blocking out the sun. Technically wasn't the mist.
The world is ending.
Elend thinks that he needs to go find Vin, and then maybe Sazed. He goes to find Set and Ham, but Yeoman stops him briefly, saying that he was wrong about Elend. He also says that Elend is wrong about the Lord Ruler, and the Lord Ruler is guiding all of this somehow. Yeoman then gives Elend his bead of atium that he wears on his forehead, and tells Elend that he has an atium misting, a seer.
Which, you know,
we didn't know that already.
Yeoman explains that atium was too valuable to test on people, and that Yeoman never found it particularly helpful. Do you think the atium bead will somehow help Elend in the end?
Yeah, he's gonna swallow it at some point, be able to see the future.
Do you think it'll be helpful, Darkness?
Well, yeah, it's ATM, but like, trying to think of where he would use it. I don't know, cause like, it's supposed to be a ruin thing, no?
So Elend goes to give Ham some directions briefly before heading off into the landscape, using horseshoes to the best of his ability like Vin had taught him. Then on to our final chapter. Chapter 75. Each hemalurgic spike driven through a person's body gave Ruin some small ability to influence them. This was mitigated, however, by the mental fortitude of the one being controlled. In most cases, depending on the size of the spike and the length of time it had been worn, a single spike gave Ruin only minimal powers over a person. He could appear to them and could warp their thoughts slightly, making them overlook certain oddities. For instance, their compulsion for keeping and wearing a simple earring. So what do you think about the fact that Ruin compelled Vin to wear... That's why it was constantly brought up of like, oh yeah, make sure to put back in the earring no matter how many fucking times it's been ripped out of my ear and thrown through people's heads. We'll put it back in.
Again.
Yeah, it makes a lot more sense. I was like, oh yeah, I see.
I thought she was never like, why do I keep this earring from my crazy mother who killed my sister?
And then put it in me, you know?
Yeah, just keep wearing it.
I just love my mother.
So we go back to Say's point of view as he stacks the sheet of metal that contained his notes. He had been given a comfortable place to stay in the caves, as Kandra apparently enjoyed human comforts like blankets and pillows. He also thinks about how the Kandra designate themselves genders even though they don't need genitals to reproduce. He wonders if they choose randomly or if they somehow know what gender they are. He wished to have more time to study them, but knew he had to stay focused. Sayes thinks of what he learned of the Terris religion. Apparently the Terris people of the past worshipped the god Ter, which means in the Terris language, to preserve. The central focus of the religion had been about how preservation and ruin had interacted, as well as some prophecies about the hero of ages who was seen as a successor to preservation. They had also had more general ceremonies and beliefs that made them similar to most religions, which depresses him. So we've kind of talked about this a little bit with Vin, but what do you think about the fact that we've now been told that the hero of ages is supposed to be the successor to preservation?
Then it's like Finn.
I mean, it definitely seems like that's where it's going, but I feel like there's going to be a twist.
Sayes taps into his copper mines and thinks about the other religions, wondering what made people want to follow them. Instead of focusing on the doctrines of the religions, he this time focuses on the people who believed in them. The doctrines by themselves seemed stale, but he began to see patterns. People believed because they saw miracles and things that non-religious people see as chance. It wasn't truly the doctrines that made them believe, but the wonder of the world itself. He thinks that he had wanted some sort of proof so that he could believe, but believers would likely tell him that he had already seen proof. That being able to be here to meet the first generation, and Tensoon speaking up when he did, was proof enough. Seize returns the memories to his copper minds and thinks that he does want to believe. He thinks that he sought help and something answered. He smiles and thinks that Breeze was right about him not being good as an atheist. Picks up the metal sheets and goes off to meet with the first generation again. He would believe not because something had proven the religion to him, but because he chose to. What do you think about Seize finally accepting religion again?
It's about time.
Just took, what, like 700 pages or something? So as Seize goes to the Trust Warren, he thinks he wants to learn more about the first contract. He thinks that the first generation treat the first contract with less reverence than the other Khandra, but that is likely because they knew Rashek before he was the Lord Ruler. Just like how the crew couldn't really see Kelsier as something more than their crew leader. When Seize walks into the Trust Warren, he is surprised to see the seconds addressing the other Khandra. Seize Whisper asks one of the other younger Khandra what is happening, and the Khandra tells him the mists are gone. Kanpar tells the crowd this isn't uncommon for the mist to disappear with the rain for a bit, and that they will return. However, another Khandra says it's currently not raining, but Kanpar says this means nothing and to go back to what they were doing. However, Haddock then speaks up, saying no. He says that they were wrong and to clear the Trust Warren of everyone but Seize, and that the time for the resolution may be here. The Khandra become agitated, but they do as they are told and leave, even the seconds slowly leaving in humiliation. So what do you think about the first generation finally starting to believe that their prophecies may be coming true and that the end is coming?
Also about time. They sound just like Seize.
Just like his ancestors.
Makes sense. I see where he gets it from.
Exactly.
The first come down, and Haddock asks what Seize makes of this. Seize replies that the departure of the mist seems portentous, but he can't specify why. Haddock says this is because he does not know everything about the first contract and the promises of the Khandra. He asks Seize not to write things down, even though he has an exceptional memory. They tell Seize that the father made them promise to pull out their blessings and kill themselves if it was required someday. Seize asks if they would really kill them, and they explain that it would turn them back into Mistrace, without sentience. They say that each Khandra is made to swear this when they first gain sentience, that they will invoke the resolution if told to. So what do you think now that we know that the full facts of the resolution?
Seems a little flawed, but just kill yourselves, guys. It's the only people who know anything about the past. Just kill yourself.
Why do you think the Lord Ruler would want them to promise to do this?
Sorry, I had to mute. But yeah, I don't understand why he would even ask that. Maybe it's because he doesn't want. Maybe it's because he knew that like Ruin would eventually try to take over, and so like if he uses hemalurgy for that, then there's a chance that they could be controlled, which is maybe what is happening with fucking Kung Pao Chicken over there.
That's what I was thinking.
So sorry, you're saying that you think that the resolution's all about making sure that Ruin can't control them?
Yes.
So they say
They
that
are spiked.
They say that Rashek told them that they would know when the time for the resolution came. Sage asks that the mist, Preservation's body, disappearing means that Preservation has returned. Edix says that this is impossible as his mind was all but destroyed to imprison Ruin. Another Khandra states that the shadow of self remains, but Haddock replies that this is just a remnant. Sage then cuts in, asking if this possibly means that someone else is taking up the power of Preservation, as their prophecies have told. Sage eagerly thinks that Finn must have done something. So what do you think the shadow of self is?
What was the context they used in it?
So they were talking about how Preservation was pretty much all but gone, and then one of the Khandra states that the shadow of self remains. Haddock calls it a remnant.
I'm assuming it's like the power left over.
You think it's what's left over of Preservation?
Yeah.
Do you agree, Mythic?
Yeah, I mean, seems the most likely.
Suddenly the door to the Trust Warren bursts open and a group of Fifth along with the Seconds enter. Kanpar tells the Fifth to take them and the Fifth begin to surround the First, holding hammers. Haddock asks what is happening and Sage replies it is a coup. Kanpar states that the First are destroying everything.
A coup, young boy. Can't you tell?
Kanpar states the First are destroying everything that they have here by talking of the resolution. Sage tries to reach for a pewter mine, but a Fifth takes it away from him. Haddock tries to say that the time of resolution may be here, but a Fifth gags him. Kanpar states that the First are unstable and they need new leadership. Sage tries to argue with Kanpar, stating that their prophecies are coming to a head. He says that they can lock them up in here and allow them to continue their research, but Kanpar orders Sage to be gagged. Sage struggles, but is pulled from the Trust Warren. So were you surprised the Seconds decided to take over?
No, not at all. Like I said, I had this whole feeling like, they were going to get manipulated by Ruin in the first place.
I thought they had already taken over from the very beginning.
Yeah, you thought they were in charge at the start.
Yeah. But with that, though, I still had thought Ruin was controlling them at that point. So, and that's why they were that way. because they're all spiked.
So you think it is time for the resolution, but now they might not do it?
Oh yeah, of course.
You think that fucks it all over?
No.
Maybe it's gonna be Conjure versus Elementers, and that's where the
Yeah.
army of Elementers come in.
They
Oh my
have to
god!
fight their way in.
Oh my god, what?
Hold on. I was thinking like,
Wow, perfect timing.
yeah. I was thinking like, and now I'm all over the place. Oh, if it's an army of Elementers and they're like Mistborn, they could just like take control of them.
Only if they're Mistborn, because remember, you can only take over a Conjure with Duralumin.
Yeah, but if they do, what if that starts a new contract?
Possible.
She could just do it herself, Loki. Because I doubt she needs Duralumin at that point.
Well, she basically gets Duralumin from the Mists.
Yeah,
So it's not that she doesn't need it, it's that she technically just has it.
which means she doesn't need it because she has it.
I feel like that's not needing it and having it. I feel like are different, but okay.
Is that no?
Okay.
But like, is that how that works? Like, what you eat the mist and now you have every single fucking thing, and it's not just like her having the powers in general.
It seems like basically consuming the mist was like giving herself an infinite amount of metals, elemental metals.
So it's not because
have the power.
well, but, like that doesn't mean that it gives her the metals, you know.
No, it just
Like,
gives
what
her
if
the
it's
power of
what
those
if
metals.
instead of giving her like an infinite amount of metals, it's just giving her the ability to use the like the abilities without metals? Because I don't even know how the fucking preservation's powers work, anyways. So.
We know a lot less about preservation than we do about ruin.
Yeah,
That's true. Yeah, unless her name is Midnight, which is annoying,
and then you know everything, and
and
won't
say
share with
nothing,
nobody, and won't share with nobody.
I must preserve the surprise.
which is kind of selfish. You know, you shouldn't do that.
I need to
The
preserve the
surprise.
surprise.
I want you to ruin the surprise.
No,
Right.
I will not ruin it. I will preserve it. Alright, so that was the end of the final chapter there. My overview questions. First of all, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but do you think Vin is dead?
Yes,
No,
Oh,
No.
yes.
Vin is not Vin anymore. Vin is preservation.
Hmm. Do you think Vin as like
No,
herself is
I'm
technically
joking.
dead? But-
no, I don't think Vin has.
No,
a
Vin
character
definitely
that-
has her consciousness.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's a requirement, you know, because they did state that you need, consciousness
Hmm.
and the like godly body or whatever.
Yeah, well, I think in
and
order to
the
like
power itself.
plan and like try and do things like ruin is, you need some sort of consciousness. Seems like.
No, I was wondering though, like, is it technically that ATM is his body, or is it just his power?
I think they explained in previous epigraphs that they call it his body, but it's technically just part of his power because like the body and
Yeah.
power of a god is pretty much the same.
No,
It's
but
like
I
a
would say
physical
the body is the body
manifestation.
that like for preservation, the body is the one that fell out of the mist. So I would assume Ruin has something like that in the like black mist.
Ruin also has a humanoid body.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I also think that Vince's body would be like what Mythic was hinting at, that it could be a mist spirit
Mm.
sort of theme, where that's what her body would look like now, but more defined because it would be her at full power. She absorbed the mist, which is like, I guess, okay, so the mist would be the equivalent of Ruin's Atium, and in a way they're both their power and their body at the same time.
Now, Ruin also had a smoky mist thing.
Yeah. But I'm saying like that's what separates them, right? So I'm assuming he has the sort of like mist form as well. That's where the actual humanoid body is.
Is in his black mist.
Yeah. So that's like his like pre-ascension body. And then the ATM would be his like
God body.
yes. And so that's the same thing with preservation, where like that was pre-ascension body, and then his like ascension body is the mist. And then if she absorbs it, and then you get where I'm going, right? Like she's gonna have that same like thing going on. And like what would she be missing though? She has her consciousness, she has the power,
She doesn't have.
she has her pre-ascension body.
She doesn't have any the metal like ATM or Ellen had.
She would need a metal for herself, yeah, huh? Because we know preservation has the metal that gives elementic power, and then we have ATM for ruin. So
because if you're right, there's two. The two, that other lake is also.
Well, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
They all have a mist, a well, and a metal.
Yeah, I don't know. Would she take over the well that was already there, or like we'll see. That's coming up. I just know it. But yeah, that's my theory. That's like everything happening right now.
So my next question was, what do you think is going to happen to Ellen now that he's also off on his own? Where's he going to get to? What's he going to end up doing?
You know, it'd be so sad. They somehow get over it. Vin is like a god now or whatever. She can't be with Ellen.
Because Ellen's not a god, so.
Either that happens and they gotta let go of each other, or Ellen becomes the new Ruin. Because think about it, that would be so cool if they were like, but then they wouldn't, but they would work together because, like, you know, balance. I'm just saying that would be cool, but too good of an ending, Loki.
What do you think's gonna happen, Mythic, with Ellen?
I think he's gonna fight Marsh and die, and then he's gonna try to use that ATM, and it's gonna end up being his downfall in some way, shape, or form. And he's either gonna kill Marsh and you know end up dying too at the same time, or he's going. I mean, I feel like he's gonna find out about Vin and thinks she's dead. So
Imagine Marsh is released from Ruin's hold, and then Ellen kills him, thinking that, you know,
that would suck.
That it was Ruin himself that killed her. That would be so upsetting. He's like, I am free.
Marsh is
I am dead.
I'm free. I can help you. I was like, fuck you, Ruin. My next question was, what do you think is going to happen with the Khandra now that the seconds are taking over?
they're gonna get taken over by Ruin.
What do you think Ruin's gonna do with them? He's taking
Fuck
over
if
the
I
control.
know. Probably make them fight people. Hence why they don't kill human beings for some reason.
That's where the Elementic army would come in.
And my final question is, how do you think the book will end? What's going to be kind of the final
Everyone
ending
dies.
epilogue?
Sayce becomes the combination of ruin and preservation, whatever the fuck we want to call it.
I don't think Khandra make it out of this.
I don't either. I don't think anybody makes it out of this aside from maybe Sayce.
I think that Vin definitely ascends, right? Tries to fix it because they still have the heat problem, you know, because of the sun. Ruin gets quote unquote defeated, but you know, same situation with preservation where you can't really, you know,
fully kill a god.
Yeah, we yet have to see what's going on with the Kolas because human.
Something about human, 100%.
Honestly, I don't think the Khandra are gonna make it at all. Maybe one or two will. We'll see like a little like thing in the future.
It'll be just Campar.
Fuck that.
No, it's gonna be just what the fuck his name is, the horse dog.
Horse dog.
The horse dog, whatever. Yeah, Tensu.
Horse dog.
Horse dog hog.
Horse dog hog person. Kelsier. Fucking the amalgamation of a bunch of shit.
Also, Endless? What's it called? Endless? No, Deepness. The Deepness.
Oh, the Deepness, yeah.
Oh, we still have yet to figure that out, too.
That's just Ruin's body, bro. The mist? The black mist?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's what was taking over before he got, like, sealed with the power. Which I want to be wrong, because I was hoping for a different god, but, you know.
I mean, I want you to be wrong, too, because I kind of want it to be a giant tentacle monster.
Yes. Cthulhu.
Like an actual, like, what it depicts is actually what it actually is.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
That would be so awesome. I have my theory about Ellen, which is what I said. Like, either of those happen. Vin ascends. The Khandra mostly don't make it.
Mostly don't.
Because they're going to face the Elementers along with Vin.
Whooped.
And it might either have to be one of those situations where, like, they have to force them to, like, you know, essentially commit. Anyway, the Kolas, honestly, it's better if you just wipe them out. Marsh is gonna. I hope Marsh dies at this point. I don't know if he can make a full recovery in general. Yeah, I think that's about it. I'm hoping for demigod children, though.
Alright, is that all of your guys' theories there?
Pretty much.
I think so, yeah.
Alright. Well, I think it's pretty obvious. We are now just reading through to the end of the book.
No, I want you to put that in there.
I will.
Or
chapter 76 through epilogue. What do you mean or?
Or hear me out. Oh, you know what I was thinking while reading?
Oh no.
What if like one of the like I don't know if it's one of the short stories or anything, but it would be cool if they made a short story where they explained the like ascension of the previous people who were like how they ascended into the powers they have now as gods.
You know what I think would be a great short story?
What?
Kelsier and the Lord Ruler like watching all of what's going on and just kind of talking with one another.
Oh, that would be
hey,
funny.
you know, you're not a bad person. You never really were. I couldn't see that,
Low-key, I
because
feel bad
I
for
was
the Lord
short-sighted.
Ruler.
I know, right? Because he was definitely doing what he thought
He
was
was
best,
supposed to,
and he
yeah.
was definitely helping out humanity.
It sounds like
But they
most of
kind of
the shitty stuff he did was because of
pretty
Ruin.
good.
Yeah, because Ruin was manipulating all that shit.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
But also, y'all, like, what's that fucking Warbreaker? Wasn't the castle, like, black or something? And, like,
Yeah.
a windy and all that?
It wasn't really windy.
Like-
It was like I think it was supposed to be like it was either a pyramid or like an upside down pyramid or something like that.
Was it?
Yeah.
What's it with, like, black themed fortresses, right? And it's always like the misunderstood tyrants.
I mean, there's a little bit of difference between Rashek and I remember his name, Susebron.
I don't know. They're both pretty misunderstood, so
Yeah, but Susebron was
They're
kind
both
of
very
like
attractive.
wow.
not wrong.
Yeah, so next
I
week
miss
we'll be
him.
reading chapter 76 through to the end of the epilogue, and then we will do a little overview of the whole trilogy, talk about the trilogy as a whole, and then we'll also be recording the preview for the Arcanum Unbounded, which is our next book.
What? That's crazy. I didn't
Yeah.
agree to that.
That's too
I
bad.
know, right? We didn't agree to another book. What?
For
Too
real.
bad.
You said this was the last one.
No. There's no
Podcast
last
is over,
book. It goes
guys.
forever.
Forever.
No.
Right, we're never coming back.
We'll see you
Yeah.
next week, guys, and the week after, the week after, the week after, and the week after, and the week after.
We're stuck here. Somebody send help.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.